Perfect. So, ladies, big warm welcome to you. We're excited to be here. My name is Sharon Whiteman. And as you can see on your screen now, this is the Money Smart Women series. And in particular, our topic for tonight is owning your future. So as you can see, there's 5 of us. You should be able to see in our screens there. You can see that we're all on video right now. We probably won't stay on the whole time because we'd like you to be able to really focus on the content. But we've worked together for a long time, and you'll see here in this slide that between us, we have a combined 90 years of experience in the home business sector. We're passionate about what we do. We're very excited in the area. In particular, we've chosen a company that's, a leading edge of wellness, and we're passionate about that. But the message tonight that I think it's hard to measure passion, isn't it? But we're super excited to be able to make sure that we pass on this message for women. A little bit about my story. I was introduced to this methodology and this business structure about 20 years ago now. At the time, I was unwell, and our company has wellness technology. I had a nursing background, and so when they were telling me about this nutrition that would really help my health challenge at the time, I was extremely skeptical. And I thought, wow, why would I be hearing about a nutrition breakthrough at a dinner party? But they said they were very kind to me at the time, and they said, listen, just have a listen to this information. If it makes sense, great. And if it doesn't, then there's no harm done. And I thought, well, fair enough. I couldn't say no to that. I went on to listen to the information. It was like one of those pivotal life-changing moments. I realized that I'd been skeptical about something that without reason, I hadn't reviewed before I had rejected. And I went on to test the technology. It made a dramatic change in my health, a turnaround from being housebound to functional and optimally very healthy. And as I found myself sharing the technology, and then I went on, about 2 years it took me to realize that, even though I'd said I'd never do a business like this, I already was, because I was passing this information on and I was starting to get income to help my investment in my wellness technology. So fast forward to today, I've had a residual income, meaning one that comes in every month, whether every 2 weeks, whichever, depending, whether I was working or not. It's taken me through very many seasons in my life. It's been the financial foundation for our household that's been stable no matter what things have happened to my partner and myself. And I guess I just can't recommend it highly enough, and that's why we're here. So, but enough about me and us. What's most important is what about you? So what passions drive you in your life? You can see here some pictures to prompt you. What's most exciting? What makes your heart sing? What gets you up in the morning? What makes you really, get up and go? And actually, you'll probably connect with your heart when you're thinking about this yourself. You can see here whether it's family reasons, whether it's happiness, whether it's holidays, you can see these are all very luxurious, happy pictures, aren't they? What is it for you? What's most important? And some more, do you want, just some prompts? Would you be craving for a bigger house? Would you be wanting a vacation? Do you want to lose the 9-to-5 job? We talk to so many people who need their job for their livelihood, obviously, but they're not really connected to the mission or the purpose of that job. More time with your children, being able to save for once and for all, and having your bank balance going up and having a little safety net there. I know some of us that you'll hear from tonight are very driven by financial security. And if you look around, you'll learn more about this. If you look around in our communities, we're not alone in that, are we? And I believe, and it's one of my passions, that every household should have a home business. A home business was something that you'd talk about anyway, even if it was going to not bring you, whether it was bringing you a little bit of income or not. And every household, imagine if a household went through a loss of a job or some kind of financial crisis, need a new car all of a sudden unexpectedly, and they had a safety net of residual income coming in. I think it's just a smart financial strategy. I believe by the end of this next hour, you're going to see, and you'll be agreeing with us as well. So on the other side of the coin, what might be stopping you from those things? You might have been craving or desiring those things for a long time. And sometimes we have beliefs or thoughts that might be keeping it, that we feel keep us away from achieving those things. You'll see them on the title, you know, bad luck, not enough money, not enough time. Maybe I can't do this. I don't have the belief in myself. There's no way I could do something like that. Definitely that's been a challenge for me. And I've learned that to overcome that, it's always about learning new knowledge. And what about lack of support? You know, many people think, well, gee, I couldn't do this on my own. You know, I wouldn't want to be a home business. I've never done a business before. So, or for, you know, they've never done you know, investing, or never looked at real estate, or some of the options we'll talk about, and whether you can do that on your own. And definitely it does take education, but I can guarantee you it's possible. So tonight we're going to be taking a look at, or whenever you're watching this, I know many people will be seeing this via recording. We'll be talking about our money today and in general, our attitudes, our knowledge, statistics, what's unique about money and finances, and give you a snapshot and an opportunity to look at your own personal financial situations. Then we're going to cover some of the choices, some of the myths and the facts, and definitely the pros and cons. And, you know, each of us are speaking in an area tonight that we have the most experience in, and you've got some real strong expertise and background coming to you. So one thing I'd like to let you know for sure, that there's not any one right way to securing your finances. And we'll be representing a lot of choices, and you may be drawn to one and not another, or maybe a few. But there's no pressure to what's right for you. This is education, and it's one of the most empowering and life-changing educations that I learned in the last 20 years. And we want to make sure there's a real easy way for you to have it and for you to pass it on to others. So our experience of doing this for years now in various formats is everybody leaves inspired. Everybody loves this information, and even men, they leave smiling, and it's really important information. So I'd like to bring in Diana Hunter now. She's my good friend and colleague, and she will take us through the next phase here.
Thanks very much, Sharon. So this slide depicts a Lewis Harris poll that was taken over a decade ago, asking people when they're lying awake at night, what are their main life concerns? And as you can see here, 96% of people, when they're lying awake at night, they're concerned about their health or their finances. And I know that's certainly been true for me in the past, and I've even woken up with concerns over those issues. And my experience is that people are often praying for solutions in their life for these kind of concerns. And the good news is that when something addresses both of these, it delivers incredible value into people's lives. And certainly, as you've heard there, the company that we've chosen does provide solutions to both of these life concerns. Next slide. So there's real value in looking at the current state of the nation in regard to employment and job security. And currently there are many economic futurists predicting that over the next 10 to 15 years, almost half of all employment is going to disappear. They're predicting 2 billion jobs to be transformed. Now, the main reason behind this is because of technological advance taking over traditional jobs, and even jobs like solicitors and lawyers aren't safe because the computers are going to be able to do those kind of analytics. I was watching a interview with Jennifer Westacott, who's CEO of Business Council Australia, saying that in Australia, businesses are aware of these future predictions and are already starting to plan and prepare for the change in the employment world and what they can do to ease that transition. In present time, you can see that local businesses are moving some of their employment overseas. They're outsourcing employment overseas, and that's impacting Australia employment. We've seen that in the telcos, we've seen it in our car industry, and we've seen it in Qantas. You all would have seen some of that on the news. And so in this new economy, job security is no longer a given. Now, in my own story, I moved to regional Queensland about 20 years ago. It was a lifestyle choice. But it became obvious to me really quickly that I wasn't going to be able to rely on the local area for the level of income and lifestyle that I desired. I did thought I secured a permanent part-time position. And I've always been someone who likes to put 200% of who I am into what I do. And I had made a major contribution to this business, and everything was running smoothly. And then the lady that I was working for pulled the rug on my job in a very unethical way. But that was a defining moment for me. At that time, I thought, I'm no longer going to put all of who I am, my talents, my skills, my time and energy into somebody else's business. I'm going to reserve some of that for myself. And I guess it was at that time I became more of an architect of my life and my future. So amongst all of this, we're now facing the weakest economy of our lifetime. And also within that, increasing numbers of people are becoming disenchanted with what they're doing. They're no longer happy just to do the 9 to 5 and put their hand out for a paycheck. People are looking for more fulfillment, more purpose in what they do. Next slide, Sharon. So this is getting a little bit more personal and perhaps a little confronting, but it is a good idea to ask ourselves money smart questions. So is your retirement prepared for? Retirement might seem a long way away for some of you, but what plans do you have for that? Do you think the age pension is going to be available when you get there? Have you noticed that the goalpost keeps changing? Pension age is becoming older and older because our government can't afford to provide for our population as many of us are going into retirement. Would your financial resources cope with an interruption in your cash flow? You've just heard that I had an interruption in my cash flow. I'd had another interruption much earlier in my life. I'd become very unwell and I was unable to work for many years. So it's smart to think about having multiple streams of income so that if one of them's interrupted, you still have money coming in. How about your good debt versus your bad debt ratio? I know in Australia, due to low interest rates, Australian community have been borrowing more and more money. But if you're in a situation where your bad debt's exceeding, your income, what plans do you have for meeting that debt? Are you doing what you love? That's going back to what I said, look for more people looking for more purpose. And do you consider yourself financially secure, and what exactly defines that? Next slide. So really, the financial rule book has changed. We're in a new economy. Things don't operate exactly as they did in our parents' day and even when we were at school. So we can't rely on what we learned at school. I mean, I learned zero at school in regard to financial planning and financial intelligence. And also, many of us may not want to model our family's financial and economic plan. We might want to go beyond that. So it's smart for us to expand our knowledge base about what really consists or underpins financial security. And usually that involves having some kind of passive income, or it's sometimes we call it a residual income. This is income coming in whether you're sleeping or not, whether you're focused there or not. And it usually involves some form of leverage, either via investments or sometimes via a business. And having or establishing some form of residual income is what will underpin your long-term financial security. And that's certainly after I had my wake-up call where I started to focus to make sure I had a passive residual income that was building for my future. Next slide. Now, some of you on the call or on the webinar may have heard of a gentleman called Robert Kiyosaki. And Robert Kiyosaki is an international educator on financial investment and financial intelligence. And this is his cash flow quadrant. And really what it depicts is the 4 key ways that we can generate an income. On the left side of the quadrant is E for employee and S for self-employed. So on this side of the quadrant, we're trading time for money, and our income is limited by how many hours we can put into the working week. And certainly with self-employed people, they're often putting more hours into the week than they were when they were employees. The right side of the quadrant is B for business owners. So we're talking big business here, 500 employees or more, where there's leverage within that business from their employees or from the product and service that they're delivering out into the community. And of course, I for an investor. Primarily, the two key areas would be into real estate or shares. Now, the interesting statistics here is that on the left side of the quadrant, there is 80% of our population, but it only generates 10% of global wealth. And you'll notice that on the right side of the quadrant in business and investors, that the global wealth generated there is about 90%, but yet there's only 10 to 20% of our population operating on that side of the quadrant. So Robert Kiyosaki says the smart money is to make that shift from the left side to the right side of the quadrant. And he said that that requires a value shift. It requires getting into the mindset of a business owner. So whatever education you can participate in that gets you into that mindset is the smart money. Next slide. So historically or traditionally, women haven't always had the leg up in regard to their financial circumstances. Many women have stayed in unhappy or unhealthy relationships for the sake of their children or their financial security. Often women have left financial decisions to the men in their family or perhaps the male experts in their circle of influence. They've often had to choose jobs or careers that allow them to be focused on child minding or child rearing and supporting their husband in success in his career. And this has meant that women have forsaken their own passions and their ability to generate significant income for the sake of the family. And many women also have been in the mindset that they can't be spiritual or caring and at the same time wealthy. And what's exciting about our business that you can have both at the same time. Next slide. So here's some more presencing statistics, quite shocking in fact. Nearly 50% of women in Australia over 50 are single and the sole income earners in their household. And that's me, I'm part of that statistic. You've heard of the gender pay gap. Well, here's some recent statistics. Between 15 and 16% less income than men is what women receive here in Australasia. And that's largely remained unchanged over the last 20 years. And women are still only making up a small percentage of senior leadership positions in business. And what about superannuation, that nest egg that is meant to support us in a happy and fulfilling retirement? Well, you can see here last year, the average balance for women in superannuation was $68,000, but for men it was $112,000. Again, that's reflecting the gender pay gap and also the fact that women are out of the workforce taking care of the children. And last year when women retired, they retired on $120,000 less on average than men. And then 50% of marriages are ending in divorce in Australia. We've all heard those statistics. In that following year, women's income drops by 50%. And our charities are reporting an increase in 44% of older women who were seeking homelessness services. And that's a real concern. So what are you doing to make sure you're not part of these statistics? And on that note, I'd like to welcome my colleague and also another guest we have, Christine Eaton, to share her personal story with you. And there she is. Christine.
Thanks, Diana. Well, that's exactly right. I was one of those statistics. After 32 years, my marriage ended and certainly my standard of living dropped. I ended up getting back into the rental treadmill, and that was pretty devastating when you've owned a home for a long time. But of course, you know, you need to regroup, and there's been many people in that same position. I guess I was more fortunate than the average in the fact that for 19 years I've been part of this great company, and we developed and built a big solid foundation, and that was able to sustain me through my toughest times, because I actually wouldn't have been in any position to go out and, you know, provide a living for myself in any other way. So I was very, very grateful for the hard work that was put in the early years, and you know, I'm still getting a payment for that work that I did, and that's, I know long after I am retired, I'll still be able to be earning that check. And that's the thing that's enabled me to catch up again and regroup and recover. And it's been a number of years since it happened, and I'm now, because the check is able to keep growing, I'm about to enter and become a homeowner again. So that's pretty exciting for me. And not only am I part of a great company where I've been able to look after, you know, continue my financial security and recover some of that standard of living, it was the support that I received during, you know, the tough times, and the love and the care and the nurturing. This is, you know, where people will put themselves out in the normal run-of-the-mill businesses that are out there. That doesn't generally happen, but this is a very supportive community, and, you know, together everybody achieves more. So I'm just so delighted that I'm part of this. So thanks, Diana.
Thanks, Christine. Next slide. Okay, so here's some more presenting statistics. If you were planning on retiring on a decent income, so in this example, $78,000 a year, which I think is the average income now, or considered the average income, you would need to have around $2.5 million on current interest rates in the bank. Now, I can tell you I have in the past worked for 17 years in the financial services industry, and I would say that less than 1% of self-funded retirees have that kind of nest egg invested. Even at $1 million invested, a couple would max out at about $50,000 a year if they didn't want to dig into their capital base that they had. And so you can see here, if you're 24 years away from retirement and you want to have that kind of income in retirement, you would need to be saving around $3,500 a month to achieve that kind of nest egg. And of course, the figures get more frightening from there. So again, what plan do you have in place to secure your future and your financial well-being as you grow older and move towards retirement? Next slide. Now we get to the good news section, and this is Kim Kiyosaki. That's Robert Kiyosaki's wife, and you can see here that she has written a book herself, Rich Woman, and she is an established, successful business entrepreneur in her own right. And she says in her book that the next economic boom is not going to be from the internet or China or India. It's going to be from empowering women. And we say specifically empowering women in business, and that's what we're all about. Next slide. So you'll see here the truth about how successful women are when they put their mind and focus to business. And in Australia, nearly 600,000 of the 1.9 million small businesses are run by women, and almost half of all home businesses are run by women, and a third of business operating outside the home are run by women. Women setting up business from home is the fastest growing sector of the Australian economy, and that's certainly in alignment with the new economy paradigm that I'm talking about, people moving from traditional jobs into some form of business. The other interesting stat here is that women influence 80% of purchasing decisions. So we have a big impact and drive business in our economy. And also women-owned businesses have less external debt and are more profitable, and profitable much earlier than those owned by men. And you'll see here this quote from Forbes in alignment with what Kim Kiyosaki has to say, which is, women are expected to be the next global growth engine. So on that note, I'm going to pass over to our next presenter. Next slide. Amanda Keeney. Here she is.
Thanks, Diana. I get excited about your sharing and about this topic, because this has really been my journey that led me to start a home-based business 14 years ago. Prior to getting started, I started getting educated with Robert Kiyosaki and people like John Burley, and learned about the need to create that passive income, to create an income that was not dependent on my hourly work. Because prior to that, I was self-employed. I was teaching yoga. I was teaching people about nutrition. But I was working an hourly rate. So if my students didn't come, or there was just a limit to how much I could work. And as I was aging, I just felt that I couldn't do the work at 40. I couldn't do what I did at 30. So really, my wake-up call came around when I was around my 40s, 14 years ago. So that journey and all that education that we're actually sharing now brought me to the point that, okay, yes, I need to find a way to generate an income that was not dependent on my physical ability to teach, that passive income, and that passive income that was greater than my expenses, because that's Robert Kiyosaki's definition of what it is to be financially free. If your passive income exceeds your expenditure, you are basically financially free. So then starts the journey of, where is your money going to come from? How are we going to generate the extra income? Okay, we've already talked about how difficult it is as an employee. There is no job security anymore. As self-employed, I've experienced, there's also the limitations that we talked about. So now in the journey of seeking where else it will come, there's a few options. So next slide, please. Some of the options that are, there's three main options. There's probably more, but there's really three key options that I've personally gone through all of them and checked them all out, because I had to steadily just check them out. The one that a lot of us, use already is stocks and shares. But a lot of us have it in our superannuation as a passive thing. You buy, shares already bought into your superannuation fund, and but you don't really have control. So you can't really generate income until you wait the 10, 20, 30 years and you start reaping the rewards of that investment. Or you can be an active share trader and produce your income that way. Now, we have to say that, and Sharon alluded to it at the beginning, I think you can go to the next slide. We have shares. Yeah, so the share market. Sharon alluded at the beginning, there's no right or wrong way. Tonight we're sharing our journeys and what we found was effective for us. If you're here on the call, really drawn to trade on the share market, there's a lot of people that do it and make a good living out of it. Personally, for me, I felt that the capital needed, the investment that was needed to trade shares effectively and profitably was really challenging. You need significant skill. You spend thousands and tens of thousands being trained. Then you need a lot of money to put there, and your loss can be so quick. You can lose thousands of dollars in a snap of a finger. And in 2008, I think a lot of people in our community actually felt that all around the world, because when the share market collapsed, some people's retirements were halved, you know, and especially if they were the age that there was no time for the share market to recover. You know, people that were expecting to live on their superannuation that came from the shares, they could barely make ends meet. So it's up to you. I just felt that share market was too volatile for me. Next slide, please. The next area that I actually was feeling quite drawn to was real estate investment, because a lot of us, you know, you may be like me, you watch the blog, we look at all the renovation shows. You know, we've been taught from a young age that you buy a house and you could buy an investment property. And look, that could still be a vehicle for a lot of people, and maybe for yourself. Having spent several decades in the area of real estate, I have found that it's a very small percentage of people that are actually able to generate a positive cash flow, that they can literally generate a monthly income, that they can use that income, go to the supermarket and buy their food and live on it. Most people are able to invest, and maybe again 10, 20, 30 years down the track, there's been capital growth and they can enjoy the rewards and some extra income. So, and the other thing is that, again, in real estate, there's high risk. You need a lot of money to put a lot of money in first, but you also have the risk if the economy goes bad, if the suburb goes bad, if whatever reason, if for whatever reason you know, something happens to the real estate market, you can lose. And when you lose in the real estate market, you can lose everything you have, because you could lose it in tens of thousands and probably in hundreds of thousands. Again, in 2008, I had several friends that went with properties that were worth before like 400,000 or 500,000 down to 200,000-300,000, and they haven't recovered yet. Next slide, please. A third category that is very popular is restarting your own business. And I'm talking here about the traditional businesses, whether people buy a franchise, which is McDonald's, or a dog wash car, or any form of business, or actually building your business from scratch. Now, there's a lot of challenges in that area, because again, you need to invest significant money to get started. You need a lot of skill. You need a lot of perseverance. You're probably going to be putting 80, 100 hours a week, every waking hour. And the statistics are that less than 80% of businesses will fail over the first year. So on that note, I'd like to invite our dear friend and colleague, Kelly, who has had a lot of experience in the area of owning a traditional business. So Kelly, can I invite you to join us, please?
Yeah. Thanks, Manakini. Yeah, I can attest to all that hard work, definitely. So we were pretty lucky when we've got a franchise business, because we started running it from scratch. So we were quite profitable. But something that we didn't kind of bank on was our business partner of 10 years kind of shafted us. The company got really big and it was making a lot of money. And that income was great for us, because it allowed us to put our kids through private school, something that we kind of hadn't had the opportunity for. But this business partner kind of did the wrong thing, and we were forced into selling the business. So we had to go through a court battle, hundreds of thousands of dollars lost. So we had quite a nice standard of living, and then suddenly it all crashed on us. And through that process, so my husband lost his health through stress, and yeah, it wasn't a nice time, and consequently our marriage failed after all of that. But what I always had going on in the background was my little home-based business, and I didn't realise what it really would mean to me in the future. So I had that little income, and now I've rejoined the workforce, and I've always built it part-time as well, which is just something to note. And also, when we had this business, we were working so hard, we would never have holidays. And what Manatech, well, our company, brought us was these holidays that we could actually, you know, take for free. So we're forced into taking those holidays, which was amazing. So I take the kids overseas, and there was about 20 holidays that we actually had. So that was incredible. Now that I've re-entered the workforce again, and, you know, being a mum, you kind of sacrifice everything and going back into, like, you know, the standard office job after all those years, entering again at a lower level. So my income is kind of like a full-time, you know, good income with my little sideline income added in. So it's given me that bridge, I suppose. And just the training and everything that this company has given me is just incredible. So I'm really, really passionate about helping women, you know, have that little sideline income, and just, it's like your little safety net. So, and I will do it until the day I die, which I hope is a long time away. But yeah, it's just really passionate about helping people. So I think it's a brilliant, brilliant business to be in. So thanks, Manakini.
Thanks, Kelly. Next slide, please. So here's the good news. We don't need a degree to know that in this day and age, everything has just gone social, mobile, global. The majority of people are communicating via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, I can't even think of all that is available to us. We even order a taxi. You have Uber that is online. You have we have purchases online. Amazon is about to open in Australia. It's like everything is happening online now. It's an online revolution, and really the challenge is just to keep up, because even some banks are reducing their you know, their offices, and a lot is moving online. So it's really that trend, and matching that trend and keeping up with that trend, and finding a niche that you can operate in this trend. It is a fantastic area to consider. Next slide, please. Now, the truth is that 2 billion jobs are going to disappear in the next 10 to 15 years, which will give rise to the micro entrepreneur. I've just read an article today, again shared by Robert Kiyosaki, that where he thinks all our energy needs to go, and what is the most secure always is becoming an entrepreneur. Because wherever you invest, whether it's your shares or whether you're gold, or you have no control. Even real estate, you have very little control. But he says the one area that we absolutely have control is what we do, how much effort and education and risk and hard work we're willing to put. So it's all really about an entrepreneur. Now, again, two big areas. We talked about the area of the social, global, mobile, but the other areas that are trending, and again, you see it everywhere, is health and wellness and direct sales, because it's really the two mega trends. You see, you know, I started teaching yoga maybe 30 years ago. Back then, I was a bit of a weirdo. Now you see yoga studios being opened like every few blocks. There's a new yoga studio opening up. And direct sales has come of age. Almost every person that you speak to is buying a product through the system of direct sale. So it's really come of age. Next slide, please. Now, the beauty is that in the direct sales, because it's such a playing field, that direct sales really doesn't care what's your education, doesn't care about whether you're a man or woman, doesn't care about the color of your skin, doesn't care about what you've done before. It's all performance based. You get paid what you deserve. You get paid more when you work harder and you're more successful, you get paid more matching to that. So because it's such a level playing field, and because that there's a lot of relationship skills that are required and connecting, women tend to excel in this area. Women's are like the star of direct sales. And so yeah, next slide, please. So it's a really good area to consider for us as women. And also whether younger women or older women, you know, your younger women are craving staying at home as they raise a family and having an income that they can generate around their family life. As we age, myself included, the concern starts becoming a little bit more around retirement. We want to make sure that we have that income stream that will secure our retirement and our income in our golden years, and maybe retire younger than needed. There are a few myths around the concept of a home-based business. So we'll take the opportunity to demystify a few of these myths. Sometimes a lot of people may consider it, is it a pyramid scheme? So no, networking and home-based business is not a pyramid. Pyramid selling is actually illegal. So as long as you make sure that you connect with a reputable company, obviously the company that we're going to share with you tonight is reputable and actually has been in business for over 24 years. And we are here to tell the tale that they pay every month like clockwork. In the 14 years that I have been with the company, I have not missed one check. The company has not failed to pay me. Sometimes people's concerns are around, oh, do I have to sell to friends and family? No, you don't really have to sell. You're really sharing. And if you choose a company that has great products that you can resonate with, you'd want to tell them and you'd want them to know, because especially in our case, their health and well-being is on the line. And once you've experienced the benefit, the next natural step is to really share the good news. Sometimes there's the concern, a lot of people have that misconception that you have to get started when a company is brand new, because only people at the top or only people that got in first will make all the money. And that's, again, not true. Personally, in my own personal experience, I make much more money than the lady that introduced me. And so she has been in it for longer than me, but I have worked harder than her. And so it's not true. Whenever you get started, whatever you're willing to put in, you will get paid accordingly. Another concern that comes up often, that these things don't work. So again, Paul and Pisner predicted that 10 million new millionaires will come in the next decade through this system of direct sales. And personally, again, all of us here are proof that this income does work and it does provide ongoing income. Is it a get rich quick? Basically, no, it's not a get rich quick. In my circumstances, my story, I took about 3 years to replace my full income, which I was very, very happy the day I reached. That was my goal, to replace all my income, so I was not reliant on the self-employed business that I had. And the day I reached it, it was like a ton of brick just got lifted off my shoulders, because I felt that I've achieved that goal of the financial security that I was seeking. But everybody is different. The harder you work, the quicker you're going to get paid more, because it's really a fair system. The harder you work, the more you get paid. It's as simple as that. So everybody, it's up to you. When you have more time, you can invest more time. When you need to back off a little bit and do whatever you need to do, you know, if you've built it to a level where it's already sustaining itself, like Christine shared with us, you really have the ongoing income, even when you cannot give it the full attention that it deserves. So it's personal. Next slide, please. What is important though, and what is really important, is to evaluate and assess the company you are partnering with as you would assess a proper business. Because, you know, if you were to put $250,000 to buy McDonald's franchise, or to buy any business, whatever business you will go into, you will probably do a perfect, you know, financial analysis, especially if you have to borrow this money from the bank. They will make you do a marketing plan, a financial plan. They're going to want to know how much money you're going to invest, how much are you likely to earn, what are, you know, they're going to want to know all these things. So, you know, although some of us may have entered this business possibly by chance, whether the word chance is there, I came looking for a way to replace my income. So things that you want to check is whether the company you're joining is, you're partnering with, is a market leader in that area. Are the products cutting edge, unique, and are they patented, protected? Is the product a service that is consumable? Because if you decide to just sell something that once people buy it, they don't need another one for another 2, 3, 4 years, you're really in the selling business. You're not going to create a residual income because you have to keep selling over and over again. But if you have a product that is consumable, that at the end of the month, people just automatically want that product again, that's fantastic. That's how you can create an ongoing income, because even if you get a tiny little commission from a product that is sold over and over again every month, you're on a winner. Is there science to validate the products that are being sold? Is the trend in the growth market? Who is the company? Is it strong and stable? Is it looking to expand their market? You know, and going back to the reputable, a lot of direct sales company, you know, get started, and a lot of them fold within a few years, sometimes less than that, and which may even be what, you know, gets people a little bit leery from in this area. But when you look at what we have to offer, 24 years experience with so many people that are telling the story, and, you know, have the income to prove it, it's you're definitely lining the deck in your favor. Will it create residual or passive income? So again, you have to differentiate whether what you're getting into, because a lot of companies out there are actually direct sales company that you will never make a passive income, because you will always, I'm referring to things, for example, like Party Plan. Party Plan, as long as you have parties, you will make an income, which means that you have to constantly sell the products because they're not consumable. So Party Plan will not give you a residual or passive income. So you really need to look at the strategy, at the structure that the company has to offer. It should pay you 44%. Is it a social responsible company? I'd like to say that what we're involved is absolutely. Is there training programs to support me? Just a quick story from my own journey. When I got started in real estate, as I told you, because this slide was totally my journey. And when, after spending $20,000 on my education, we got started in business and we started investing in real estate, I was looking for mentoring. And mentoring, again, is tens of thousands of dollars. Just for 2 weekends, I was going to pay 8,000 Australian dollars just for 2 weekends of training with a real estate genius. And when looking at my home-based business, I looked at people that, my team leaders that have achieved what I wanted to achieve and beyond what I wanted to achieve. And that was actually offered for free. And I couldn't believe that they were willing to invest so much time and education into my future and into my knowledge to help me out. And there was no $1,000 price tag attached to it. So next slide, please. So the company that we've aligned with is the company Manatech. It's a leader in the wellness industry. It has products that I have personally been consuming every single day, myself and my family, every single day for 14 years. I feel that our robust health and anti-aging, I often get compliments for looking much younger than my age, and I put a lot to it down to these products. It has spent millions and millions of dollars in research and development. There's more than 100 patents that secure, that just demonstrate how unique and different the products are. There are only 26 markets in the world, which means there's still a full globe of expansion available to us. So really, at the end of the day, it is your choice, and making the right choice is important. So hopefully there's been enough there to really build the thinking process that leads to it. To say that it's the only way to choose, obviously not. There's lots of choices there, but tonight all of us have chosen this vehicle, and for all of us it has been I'm so grateful that I have chosen this, because it has absolutely provided me for the last 14 years, actually for the last 11 years, with ongoing full-time income. So next slide, and back over to you, Sharon.
Mandakini, that was brilliant. Thank you so much. Ladies, I hope you can see and hear and feel the passion. And, so far tonight, we've touched on an opportunity for you to look at the world and the stats and the figures, to consider and take a look at your situation and evaluate your heart's desire, your dreams, what you're dreaming for, and maybe what you're feeling like you're missing in your life, and what's really important to you that's not there. I think you'll have seen that you're not alone. As women, we have a lot of commonalities of statistics and life experience. And you can see, even with the 5 of us here tonight, we had commonalities and differences. We've been drawn to drawing this line in the sand and making a decision about our life, some through chance, as Mandakini said, and some of us through deliberate research and looking for a solution for those goals. Some of you might be here tonight. Excuse me. So the most important thing is to know that you're not alone. You need to evaluate your situation. Ideal scene, it's best not to wait for a crisis to do so, although I tend to have that experience in my life. Take a look at your life and see, is what you're doing right now going to get you where you want in 5 years? Assist your family to have what you want and deserve, those hearts and desires and dreams, the retirement, and this one, offering a life of significance. The contribution that we're able to have on so many levels in the business that we choose, but whatever resonates for you as a choice out of this, with more money, you contribute back to the world more. Even if it's just that you're more of a whole person and less stressed, and you're happier walking down the streets and with the people in your life, that's a better contribution to the world, isn't it? So really connect in with your heart. What is it that you desire? You can see some prompts here: money, relaxation, family, adventure. It's different for all of us. And sometimes something that'll make you draw the line in the sand is some pain. Maybe it's a move away from debt or struggle, or where you're living, or something negative. It doesn't really matter what your trigger is or your driving force is, but really know that you can make a decision and take action. I'd really like to emphasize that you can do it. I talk to so many people, and I think one of the most commonalities of people's hesitation is fearing that they can't sell, that they don't know enough, that they could never be a business owner. And truly, as Mandakini said, especially in our business, There's abundant education, plentiful. And if you just take, I think, really take a look, quite seriously, nobody, if we could see each other on this call, none of us would start a new job or a new career or a new hobby and expect to know everything right away. You give it 6 months or a year. And, if you have a big goal stretched beyond anything you've ever experienced, you might give it 5 years. And with that persistence and ability to take action over a long time, I know that you can be successful in whatever you choose, and definitely in our business. I really resonate with Kiyosaki's. I had the privilege of training with them personally 30 years ago. And this quote's really important to me. The only person who's going to give you security and the life you want is you. And that's been true for me. I have to get up and do it and not waiting for someone else to do for me. And the 5 of us would like to share this with you in closing. We really believe this to be true, and that's why we're developing this series, and we're going to be developing it even further and continuing it. When sleeping women wake, mountains move. It's such an empowering thing to work with women and help them overcome obstacles and achieve their goals and dreams in their life. So my life, my terms, living life on your terms, that's what we're about. Really feel what your dreams pull you towards. Get back to the person who invited you here to this webinar, whether that's live or whether you're listening to it or watching it in the future. Make sure you ask questions, engage, and really just go for it. It's especially if you choose our business, you'll never regret it. It's a fantastic experience. But whatever you choose to enrich your financial life, we wish you the very best, and we congratulate you for investing in yourself in this time. So thank you, everybody. Good night, and thank you for being here.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Night, everyone.